was here at the breath workshop we had about a month ago, I think, and it was really the most phenomenal experience I've had in my life as far as like my body, like had all these experiences that I didn't even know were possible. So I'm hoping for the same thing today. And I'm hoping for you all to have a really phenomenal experience too. And you were here as well. There's some other people that were here and had this really great experience. So it's a collective experience, and so welcome and thank you for being here again. And if you need anything, need more ideas, just come get me. There's pillows and cushions in this closet right here, and then I'm going to close the closet just for feng shui sake, and then I will put my dog out there when we get started.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I want to say that I really honor the courage to come and do work like this. It's not easy and it's not light. I call this style of breathwork warrior breathing because it really does take a warrior spirit to look at yourself in the most honest and sometimes brutally honest way, to uncover parts of yourself that are dark, and that's what breathwork can really do for you. So I'll skip past the physical stuff, alkalizing the blood, and because I really feel like that just it's really not that important. The most important thing, as far as why breathwork is so profoundly healing, is that it unlocks bound threads in your nervous system. We come to find that the belief system in your mind has thoughts that then reflect through the body to create emotions, and there's a feedback loop there. But when the emotion that's created is too powerful, the mind rejects the loop for processing, and the emotion gets stuck in the body. And typically it's stuck in the nervous system. It can be stuck in other soft tissue, but it's the nervous system. So when you are doing breath work, you're releasing all of that information. And when it comes out, it can come out in many, many, many different wild ways. And I want to invite everyone to, during the breathwork session, to keep your eyes closed. That's to keep you in your process and to also keep you from interfering with anyone else. And I'm saying this out loud because I want everyone else to feel like you are in your process and nobody is watching you, and don't feel self-conscious about what's happening, because as these threads are unwinding, you might twitch, or muscles will contract, you might cry or wail or shiver and shake. A lot of interesting, weird things happen that don't judge it. It's not to be judged. It's just the attention in your body that needs to come out, and it comes out however it does, and we just allow that. So one note, that some of the music that I'm going to play, it can be kind of fun sounding. Maybe you want to dance to it. If it's necessary that you feel like however something is going to come out that you need to dance to, it's okay to get up and move around a little bit if you feel stable on your feet. But only if that's the case. If it just feels like you want to have a little jam session with yourself, please stay on your mat. So let's see. When we're carrying tension in our bodies throughout our lives, it can create soreness. So it came up before that I will be most likely moving around and touching people in different places. if it seems like there's a tension that's not moving, I will do what I can to help it move. But that being the case, it's kind of like if a muscle is healthy and fresh, you can do anything and it's not going to hurt. But if you just had a big workout or you have a bruise or an injury, then you touch it a little bit and it hurts. So from my perspective, I have the intention of being as gentle as possible. And if I'm touching something and it hurts more than, and to the point that you feel like you're contracting against it, then say something to me, because the point is not to have pain. The point is to move the pain. And Shauna will be assisting as well, so she'll be moving around the room, doing her little fairy magic. Let's see. So the session itself, as far as the breath work, will be from 2 to 3 o'clock, 1 hour, which is plenty. And then after, we'll have about 30 minutes to kind of settle back into your body and have some time to share. So as far as the breath itself, we will be breathing from the belly, and it'll be about a pace like this. There are different schools of breath work that do it different ways, as 2 phases, like that's not particularly important to me. If that feels right to you, by all means. I think that the pace is more important than the style, and what's really important is do not hold your breath. So keep it flowing. That's a really important part of it. So don't, or on the out. So, and we have the microphone set up this time. I will set the pace to start breathing into the mic, and then as the session is going, if I see the energy kind of dying off, I'll start breathing again to indicate, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to jump into that pace, but it does mean, okay, it's time to bring the power back. Because we have a tendency to find these blockages in our system that are unconscious, but the conscious mind, being afraid of that revelation, can start to send in thoughts like, I'm uncomfortable, what am I doing, who's this guy, like, why am I here, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's really important to ignore these sabotaging thoughts. You're here, you're breathing, everything is fine, we're watching you, we are going to take care of you no matter what, everything is fine. So keep breathing, don't let your mind take over. Let your body's intelligence work. Now, it does happen that some people will have visionary experiences, and if that does occur and you really need to go into that to hear that message, that's totally fine. If you need to pull back on the breath to hear something, that's totally fine. Just don't get lost in it. And if it seems to me that you might be kind of just, slowing down on the side, I might come up to you personally, or you'll hear me breathing, and that's the indication to come back into the group. Let's see. Posture is really important. So all the channels in your body are meant to be open like a hose. But like I said, as traumas and beliefs and behaviors can go in there and cause kinks and twists in the system, we have a tendency to actually do that on the macro level ourselves. And if you think about it, it's like when you're talking to somebody and they're talking like, "Hi, how are you?" There's a feeling to that versus, "Hi, how are you?" We have a way of closing ourselves off energetically and psychologically. So the invitation is, while you are in your process, if you notice that you're closing your arms or crossing your legs or clamping or tensing something, try to, okay, that's some resistance somewhere. I don't need to overthink it, but something is resisting, and I'm going to stop that. It might also be, and don't try to feel self-conscious about this, but if I see somebody is doing that, then I might just go over and uncross your arm. You know, don't overthink it. Oh, okay, there's the thing. Okay, and then just keep going. There's no wrong way to go through this. And what I mean by that is I will start the pace, but your body will have a natural rhythm that may or may not be in alignment with the person next to you, and that's totally fine. So as you're going through the breath, if it feels like more appropriate to go faster or slower, maybe a little bit more shallow, it's fine, as long as you're still breathing from your stomach. That's the important thing, not shallow from your chest. And when I say shallow, I just mean maybe not, but just a little bit less. That's fine. So as long as you're breathing and keeping the intensity up, that's plenty. As far as the way that your body and your conscious mind may interfere with your healing, it's important to have an intention. Why am I here? What do I plan to get out of this? Because if you have that, there's something, like for example, there's something with my parents or my spouse or my, friend, or with myself, there's something that I want clarity about. If you can hold on to that concept while you're starting to experience something that's unpleasant, it'll make it a lot easier. It'll anchor you into your intention. As opposed to, well, I'm just here because I heard about it, which you're still all welcome. I'm just here because I heard about it. I'm feeling a little bit weird. I'm going to go. That's not really okay. And also that's not allowed because it disturbs the room. If you absolutely need to stop, you can just lay on your mat and, if I come over to you, just say you're done. But to leave the room would disturb everyone else's experience. So please don't do that. So let's see. And the bathrooms, if you need to go to the bathroom, better before than during. Are there any questions? So this style comes from Hawaiian shamanism, which I learned from Harry Jim over. Oh, do you know Harry? Oh yeah. I love Harry. I was going through my own healing, and I actually went to him for Lomi, for body work, and then I started doing body work, and then it was just kind of like, hey, let's just do a breathwork session. And I was like, okay. And then we did, and I was like, I can't believe what just happened. Like, what the hell was that? And then that started this whole different path. And my personal opinion about healing is that body work, talk therapy, and more internal like nutrition and breath work, they're all important. They're all pillars of one solid structure. Personally, though, I just find the breath work to be the most rewarding of those types. So
It's the most powerful.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is also, it's like nutrition. You don't want to take medicine every day because it's not medicine anymore, it's food. So I don't consider this food, this is more medicine. You should generally try to breathe from your belly, slow, conscious, all the time, and then, or like going to the dentist. But then every couple months you come in and, you do the really deep work, the stuff that's just not coming out, it's kind of stuck. And I'm happy to be of service and to help this process. So I've had somebody say to me, well, if I'm doing all the breathing, then what are you doing? And
How should you breathe?
yeah, and I said, well, I mean, you by all means, go home and breathe. Don't let me stop you. I mean, I highly encourage that. I encourage breathing all the time. But what I do is, I jokingly say I'm like an energetic janitor. A big part of what I'm doing is holding the space and cleaning up the stuff that's coming out as you're cracking and breaking down walls. It is important to clear all that residue. There is a certain stickiness to it, and there's also an aspect of it that if it's not complete, it has a way of, the word I like to use is annealing. It's more of like a metallic term, but it's like pulling the top off of a weed. Well, if you didn't get the whole thing, it looks better, but it's coming back. And so part of what I do is helping to excavate the entire piece. And so that's really what Sean and I will be doing, is basically monitoring all of your processes and making sure that we're getting as much work done as we can in the time that we have. Yes?
So can you talk a little bit more about the breath itself, like through the nose or through the mouth? Is it forceful or is it
So the style of breathing is different for different lineages. I find to be in and out through the mouth to be the most effective because it's the least obstruction. If you want to breathe in through your nose and you have a clear nasal passage, then that's totally fine. Some people have deviated septum or internal swelling. It might be more difficult, and then it stops the process from being fully effective. And you don't want to feel like you're straining in a muscular sense. Like, it shouldn't be like each breath, it shouldn't be a struggle, but it is work. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if half, if not all of you will start sweating. It is work. We will be, for the sake of light, and we're going to close the drapes, and we might close the glass as well. I'm not sure yet. That might come later. But, it's work, and, internal exercise is good for you. But again, you can't do it wrong. If breathing through your nose feels better for a time, that's totally fine. If you need to slow it down or speed it up, just continuous breathing is important. So, I guess more important than making sure that you're breathing correctly is just to keep breathing and don't worry. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, so I want to take a quick poll. If everyone could close their eyes. So part of what Sean and I will be doing is moving around to do a little bit of physical manipulation if it seems necessary to move energy. If you do not want to be touched, could you raise your hand and let me know? Okay, thank you. You can open your eyes and get comfortable. We're going to set up the room and get started in a couple minutes.